Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Raimi Lukman, an assistant professor of entrepreneurship in the School of Business and Economics, University Brunei, Darussalam. It is my pleasure to be invited as a keynote speaker to this ongoing conference. Thanks for the invitation. I will be discussing with you an important area of research called transitional entrepreneurship. But precisely my topic is titled Understanding the Motives, Nature of Uncertainties and Strategies of Transitional Entrepreneurs in Developed Countries. A focus on ethnic minorities, immigrants, and women entrepreneurship. My presentation outline is as projected. I will start with introduction, discuss the problem statement, research objectives, research questions, methods and approach. I will provide findings and, of course, provide implications for research and practice. Entrepreneurship, as we all know, is a field that is rapidly evolving in the global academic arena. And there are different variants of entrepreneurship. For the purpose of this conference, we have what is called social entrepreneurship, corporate entrepreneurship, Trumpeterian and non-Trumpeterian entrepreneurship, nascent entrepreneurship, technology entrepreneurship, agribusiness entrepreneurship, family business entrepreneurship, and several others. However, transitional entrepreneurship, which is the focus of this particular conference, is important for a number of reasons. And to provide conceptual clarification, PDOC and Clark 2021 defines transitional entrepreneurship as a field of entrepreneurship that is concerned with how, why, and when entrepreneurial actors from a given marginalized community may discover, enact, evaluate, or exploit opportunities because or in light of their position / adversity. In other words, we are looking at how marginalized groups, endangered groups, groups that are disadvantaged like minorities, migrants, women, how they survive within the entrepreneurial ecosystem of developed countries. If you look at UK, the United States, and other developed countries, you see Chinese, Indians, Africans, emerging as small business owners. And they were able to do this because they faced a number of adversities, challenges, which actually forced them, to reinvent the wheel, to think outside the box, in order to be able to keep body and soul together, in order to be able to pay their bills. Consequently, they are contributing immensely to the development of their host community. So the human subjects in transitional entrepreneurship are, of course, the immigrants, the minorities, the women, and of course, the ethnic groups. And they have created several products, services, which are beneficial to their host community in a number of ways. They generate employment for themselves. They create employment for others. They are able to provide essential goods and services for their host community. And also they pay taxes to government and they add sustainably to the gross domestic product of their host community. So based on these entrepreneurial outcomes, we cannot afford to ignore the role of transitional entrepreneurs. However, this particular field of entrepreneurship called transitional entrepreneurship has not been well researched and investigated. So the problem really is transitional entrepreneurs have continued to make, sustainable contribution to the ecosystem of developed countries, such as United States of America, Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Unfortunately, the notion of transitional entrepreneurship has not been well understood and investigated by research and policymakers. So the aspect of business venturing that this set of individuals focus needs to be supported by policymakers and, of course, the host community. That is essentially what this particular research intends to unveil. So because of the exploratory nature of this particular research, the specific objectives are: one, to describe the motivational factors driving transitional entrepreneurship among the focus group, ethnic minorities, women, and of course, immigrants. Secondly, to highlight the types of uncertainties hindering transitional entrepreneurship among the focus group. And then finally, to examine entrepreneurship strategies that are leveraged by ethnic minorities, women, and immigrants to cope with the ravages of uncertainties in their host communities. So based on the objectives that this particular study focused on, I have generated 3 SMART research questions. The first one: what are the motivational factors driving transitional entrepreneurship among the 3 focus groups? 2, what are the types of uncertainties hindering transitional entrepreneurship among the focus group? And finally, what entrepreneurship strategies are leveraged by the ethnic minorities, the women and immigrants to cope with the ravages of uncertainties in the developed countries or their host community? So based on the fact that this is an exploratory research, so the preferred methods of investigation is, of course, qualitative research tradition, and particularly the use of thematic review. So thematic review in the methodology literature is used for identifying, accumulating, evaluating, integrating, and interpreting previous and practical findings related to a particular subject of inquiry. In other words, we are looking at the literature, gathering all the findings, reinterpreting, and of course, integrating all these findings to provide salient answers to the 3 research questions. So using thematic review, we use what we can call 7-stage approach in reviewing all the materials that have been gathered. The first is searching the database for suitable literature that is related to developing countries. 2, defining geography of the literature. 3, sampling and inclusion stroke exclusion criteria. 4, team reporting structure. 5, appraisal of the literature. 6, quantifying the themes in frequencies and percentages. And finally, analysis and synthesis of the themes. In other words, we gathered relevant literature on how the focus group from developing countries traveled to developed countries to impact, sustainably in the developed countries. So we generated 130 publications, and based on the criteria listed above, we found 117 publications relevant. So they were critically reviewed, evaluated, and synthesized, on the basis of which integrated findings were reported. So what are the findings? In retrospect, we set out, to provide answers to 3 research questions. So the first question is, what are the motivational factors driving transitional entrepreneurship among ethnic minorities, women, and immigrants? So from the literature, it was found that each of these focus groups, ethnic minority, women, immigrant, each has a number of motivational factors that normally prompt them, drive them to take up entrepreneurship as a profession. And at the end of the day, 3 broad factors emerged. The first one is institutional environment actually motivates people to take up entrepreneurship. Secondly, the pull factors also stimulates entrepreneurship among the 3 groups. And thirdly, ethnic resource dependence has also been found to be a stimulant. For clarity, institutional environment could make and mar entrepreneurship, could make in the sense that could serve as positive motivators for people to take up entrepreneurship. And at the same time, it could be a barrier. But in this context, this focus group are disadvantaged in the sense that they migrated from developing countries and found themselves in developed countries. In the case of women, they do not migrate, but within their own local economy, in the developed and developing countries, they suffer a number of disadvantages caused by institutional, environment. So some of the specific factors within the institutional environment are racial discrimination, host reciprocity, economic climate, the operating environment, good management practices, high level of business support services for ethnic businesses, for migrants, and of course for women. Some of these institutional factors are supportive, and those that are not really supportive later on becomes positive in the sense that people try to live with them, people try to cope with them. In the process, they are able to think outside the box and become celebrity in their host environment. This particular issue has been well explained by the refugee effect, unemployment effect, and so many catalysts that actually propel marginalized entrepreneurs to take up entrepreneurship as a mechanism for keeping body and soul together. With regards to the push factors, the specific factors are necessity entrepreneurship. People become entrepreneurs out of necessity. forced on them by the environment. Quest for survival. Have to pay their bills, to fend for themselves, to cater for their children. Many people are forced to take up entrepreneurship. That is the quest for survival. Also, some are employed, but they are not satisfied with the quality of job they are doing. Consequently, they resign and take up entrepreneurship as a second option. Some are employed, but the employment they are currently on do not really align with their academic and professional qualification. And also, they are paid less than their qualification, and they work less than the number of hours they would like to work. So that is underemployment. Such people quit such employment and set up self-employment. Lack of good jobs and, of course, unemployment in the host community have actually forced so many people to take up self-employment through creation of businesses. Also, the pull factors has also been identified, and the specific pull factors are opportunity entrepreneurship, business support, self-motivation, need for achievement, ethnic product, foreign niche market, desire to be their own boss, freedom for paid employment, and of a number of other specific reasons. All these are called pull factors. Pull factors by their nature are positive, but push factor by their nature are negative. But these negativities actually propel people to make ends meet by creating jobs, by venturing into self-employment. So the last motivational factor is called the ethnic resource dependence. In other words, people that have been focused, the minority, women, and immigrant, they have what is called resource dependence. And some of the factors associated with resource dependence are social network. They work together in group, and this particular social network becomes an advantage. Social capital, they also leverage social capital as opposed to the financial capital they get from banks, venture capitalists, and host community. All these are very, very difficult to come by because they are endangered group, they are marginalized group, so they leverage social capital to actually survive. Also, they have human capital. They live in group, and within that particular group, they have different skill sets, and they use this particular skill set for their own advantage and benefit. There's cultural value, there is strong intra-ethnic network, common cultural heritage, ethnic community, and of course, the quest to continue family business tradition. So all this put together actually work to the advantage of ethnic minorities, women minorities, and of course, the immigrants in developed countries. The second findings relates to what are the type of uncertainties hindering transitional entrepreneurship, particularly ethnic minorities, women, and immigrants. So in the literature, we are told that there are 4 levels of uncertainty in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. But looking at the peculiarity of the focus group, ethnic minorities, women, and immigrants, it was discovered in majority of the works and extant literature review that the relevant level of uncertainties that relates to these 3 focus groups are level 1 and level 2 uncertainties. So what is level 1 uncertainty in the literature? This relates to a type of uncertainty that is a barrier, but despite the fact that it poses risk, threats, and problem to transitional entrepreneurship, this uncertainty still presents a clear future with likelihoods, possibilities, and probabilities of success for ethnic, immigrant, and women entrepreneurship in developed countries, such as UK, the US, Canada, and Australia, where there are new market opportunities and strong support for transitional entrepreneurship. In other words, they face a number of uncertainties, but despite that, because of institutional issues in developed countries, some of these institutional issues are supportive of their businesses. They enjoy strong support, from business support agencies, from government, from policymakers, even though initially they are operating at a disadvantaged level. But because of strong institutions, strong structures for entrepreneurship in developed countries, this set of people are able to ride on the strength of institutions and structures to actually overcome their uncertainty. And that is why their own level of uncertainty is described as level 1. It poses risk, threat, despite that it provides clear future, likelihood of success, likelihood of possibility of growth for those who are able to use some of these institutions to their own advantages. The second type of uncertainty they are faced with is what is called level 2 uncertainty. And what is level 2 uncertainty? This presents several alternative paths, although they may not enjoy some of the benefit that the indigenous citizens of these countries are enjoying, but that notwithstanding, because of strong institutions, because of support agencies, they are provided alternative paths and trajectory that they can actually, follow. In developed countries, formal entrepreneurs are celebrated, despite the fact that such economy place importance of formal entrepreneurship. Those that are operating at the level of informal entrepreneurship are also supported to be able to scale up and move into the formal sector. So this is the reason why the level of uncertainty that they face is called level 2 uncertainty. And then finally, what are the entrepreneurship strategies that the focus group leverage? So according to the literature, there are 4 types of strategies that are open to entrepreneurs. The first one is the preemptive strategies. The second one is the option strategies. The third one is synchronous strategies. And the fourth one is adaptive strategies. But looking at the peculiarity of the ethnic minorities, women, and the immigrants, most scholars actually agree and they concur that the 2 important strategies that this focus group have actually leveraged to their own advantage are the option strategies and the adaptive strategies. And what is the option strategies? Transitional entrepreneurs in different climes adopt option strategies when there are temporal entry barriers. We said earlier on that they face institutional barriers. They cannot enjoy all the benefit that citizens are enjoying. So by so doing, they are able to look at the available options that fit their level of operation and their business model, and they're able to use this to their own advantage. This gives them modest level of uncertainty in the policy environment, but there are clear alternative paths or alternate paths that they may use to generate returns on investment. So that is why they look at available options based on their resources, based on their business model, based on their level of operation, and they use this to actually, deliver their value and capture value within the host community. The second one is what is called adaptive strategy. Transitional entrepreneurs in different climes adopt adaptive strategies when there are rapidly changing set of conditions, ambiguity, and uncertainty in the policy environment without clear alternative paths and trajectories. Where they are faced with so many challenges, so many uncertainties, so many threats. So what they do is to actually develop resilience, to be able to adapt to that particular environment, to be able to deliver their value, to be able to capture value in return. So that is why they leverage what is called adaptive strategy in developing their business model, in creating value, in delivering value, and of course, in capturing value in their host community. These are specific strategies within the two adopted strategies: determination and commitment, pre-immigration entrepreneurial mentality, home network structure, human capital, social capital, dynamic capability, market niche, risk management, managerial skills, innovative idea, government pro-immigrant program, financial capital, network connectivity, new market opportunity, family social capital, and of course, unique product and services that meet the needs of their host community. In conclusion, the three findings that this particular paper has actually provided have a number of implications. The first one, the paper provides a theoretical-based framework for transitional entrepreneurship, with particular focus on motivational factors, types of uncertainty, and entrepreneurial strategy. That's number one. Secondly, the paper validates the applicability of several theories of entrepreneurship venturing with regards to transitional entrepreneurship. A number of works have used not less than 10 theories to explain transitional entrepreneurship with regards to their motivation, what are the challenges, how do they cope. So this particular paper has actually validated most of these theories in terms of how ethnic entrepreneurs react, how immigrants take advantage, of the benefit in their host community, how they're able to overcome institutional challenges and bottlenecks, and even women too, who are marginalized in a male-dominated environment. They develop, resilience, they raise the bar of innovation, they're able to damn the consequence of, complexity and complex in their environment to actually, move their business model to the next level. Number three, from a practical lens, the paper provides highlight institutional barriers that entrepreneurial venturing among ethnic minority, immigrants, and women entrepreneurs are facing, and how these are balanced, within the host community. And thirdly, the paper also proposes a multidimensional framework that institutional entrepreneurs and policymakers including non-governmental organizations and the Entrepreneurship Development Agency, could actually use to solve some of the institutional problems facing this marginalized group. And finally, the paper underscores the need to change the transitional policy environment through adjustment of immigration policies, development of better socioeconomic inclusion policies, design of business support program for transitional entrepreneurs, and also the need to have in place friendly, legal, and regulatory environment that will meet the expectation of transitional and non-transitional entrepreneurship. So these are the 5 implications that have clearly emerged from this particular paper. Thanks for your rapt attention.